The story of village Palampur. So this is chapter number 1, the story of village Palampur. In this, it is a story of a village which is called Palampur, and this village is representing a normal village in the Indian country. So this kind of village is something different, is having some aspects which are quite similar to other villages, but certain things are quite developed here. What all things are done here, we'll talk about that. First of all, let me tell you that this Palampur is not a real, it's not a real village. This Palampur is a hypothetical village. That means it doesn't exist. But with the story, we'll try to understand that what is happening here in the villages of India. So farming, Palampur, farming is the, that is agriculture, is the main work. Farming is the main activity in Palampur. But other industries like the small scale manufacturing, the dairy, the transport, and there are other things also which are being done here. And there are other work which involves the natural resources. The man-made items are being made, human effort also is there, resources, human effort, money. We are going to talk about that. First of all, Palampur as a region, as a place, is quite well connected. If you see the roads, this Palampur is quite well connected with the neighboring villages and town. If this is Palampur, then 3 kilometers from Palampur is Raiganj. Now this Raiganj is also a village. So this is a village, this is a big village. Then on this same road, as we said, they are quite connected. So on this same road, we have another town. So this is a village, this is a village, this is a town, and town is called Shahpur. So we have Raiganj, and then after that we have Shahpur, which is a town. And since they are quite connected, all these connections are very good, that is road connection. So we can easily see the bullock carts, tongas, bogies, and the commodity, like they are carrying the commodities, and also motorcycles, jeeps, tractors, and trucks. In Palampur, there are 450 families, and there are different castes which belongs here. 80 people, or you can say 80 upper castes, you can say 80 families belong to the upper caste. Since they are upper caste, they have good houses made up of bricks and cement plastering. Then the Dalits, there are around 1/3 of the Dalits living here. So if this is 450, what is the 1/3 of 450? 3 9s are 45. So around this one, 1/3. So 90, around 90 families are SC families or Dalit families. Now they live in a very corner. So if this is Palampur, they live in one corner of the Palampur area. And they have very small houses made up of mud and straw. So you see the difference between how the upper caste live in India and the Dalits, that is the SC, live in India. This is kind of, a message which is coming from here. The most good thing or the most important thing of Palampur is that most of the houses have electric connections. So we see various places which are developing, means various villages, towns. Now they have electric connections. As far as education is concerned, 2 primary schools are there and 1 high school are there in Palampur. When it comes to the health sector or health facilities, 1 PHC, primary health center, is there in Palampur, and this is run by the government, and 1 private dispensary is also there in Palampur. So what we saw here, that Palampur, all this discussion we had, that this gaon or this village is quite developed as you consider the roads, the transport, irrigation, electricity, school, and health center. So almost all the things are quite developed here. So as we said, that this is an imaginary village, and this imaginary village, in all the villages, most of the villages we see that there are activities of farming, And along with this, we have non-farming activities also. So those activities which are not related to farming or agriculture, those are called non-farming activities. And this includes the manufacturing, this includes the transport, the shopkeeping, etc. Shopkeeping. So these are the non-farming activities. As we said that in Palampur or all the different villages of India, there are production activities which are going on. So production means either you are producing some goods or you are producing or developing some or giving some services. So whenever this goods and services is involved, that is the organization of production, there are certain requirements. First thing is land. First thing requirement is the land, that is the land and also the water. Water is the natural resources. We have forests, minerals also providing various natural resources. But the land is very important. The second thing which is required for a production for goods or services is the labor. Labor. Now labor can be of two types. Labor can be of two types. Either the physical work is required, that is the physical work labor, or there can be some technical work also. So some skilled type of labor may be required. And then the third requirement for goods and services is the physical capital. That means paisa, money, rupees. This is required. So this physical capital, we can again define it or divide it into two parts. That is, this physical capital it can be fixed capital, it can be working capital. Now in this fixed capital, if you want to make some good, you have to have some industry or some working area like this. For that you make a building. You may bring some tools and some machines. So all this building, tools and machines, once you have bought it, then or you can go for some generators, turbines and computers also. So these tool, machines and buildings, when you bring it, they are going to work for long. That is, they are going to work for many years. Since they are going to work for many years, they are fixed. The building will not change overnight. The machine will work for 5-10 years. So that is why the money which is involved in making this building, bringing the machine and tools, these are called fixed capitals. Then you need to have, to make a good or a service, you need to have some raw material. When you want to buy some raw material, you have to go to the market and purchase this to get it from somewhere. And for that, you have to have hard cash. That is, you have to have some money that you pay and you bring the raw materials. So this raw material, because the money will be spent, that is called the working capital, Karyashil Punji. Now, these are the three requirements, but one more requirement is very important. That is us, people, human being. Because if all these things are here and we don't have any knowledge how to do this work, or we don't have any entrepreneurship, that is, along with this land, labor and this physical capital, we require people, we require entrepreneurship and we require knowledge of the people. Then only this goods and services can be made in a way it should be. And that is called the third capital, which is called the human capital. Actually, it is human resource, but we are going to talk about this in the later discussion. But right now, this capital can be divided into the fixed capital, working capital and the human capital. Okay. So every production, whichever project production is there, needs labor, land, physical capital and human capital, and these all are known as factors of production. Please understand that land, labor, physical capital, that is this one which we talked about, fixed capital and working capital, along with human capital, is known as factors of production. So if you are being asked what are factors of production, you are going to name these four, right? So farming, which is the main task of Palampur, the land is fixed. How the land is fixed? As we said, the farming is the main activity. 75% of this Palampur people, they are dependent on farming to earn. That is, they can be farmers, they can be farm laborers, That is, they are very closely related to the farms. They are working in farms, they are doing agriculture activity. Okay. Now, this there is a very fixed area, that is, the land was constrained. That is why we are saying that land is fixed. Since 1960, in Palampur, there has been no expansion. The land which is used for farming, it has not been expanded. That land is fixed. So cultivation area is fixed in Palampur, right? And some of the wasteland in the village, that is the land which can be converted, that was converted to cultivable land. That is, this area is, some area was there that can be converted, has already been converted. Now there is no other land which can be used for farming. Okay. Let me tell you one more thing. There is a term called hectare. Hectare is 100 meter by 100 meter land area is called an hectare. Now the question comes, when there is a fixed area, the land is fixed, then how to increase the land? We cannot increase the land. We can increase the crop production here. We can increase the crop production here, right? So how to do that? The change, what things can be done here is that change in method of cultivation. Change in method of cultivation can be done so that the fixed area which is there for cultivation, we can get more crop out of it. For that, we can have multiple cropping and modern farming methods. Multiple cropping and modern farming methods. Okay, these two are used in Palampur. That has increased the production from the land which is available. So first of all, we need to understand what is multiple cropping. Multiple cropping means, if this is the area of, say, someone, now he or she is going to grow crops more than 2 to 3 crops. So normally the Palampur people, they are growing 3 crops, at least 2 main crops. That means they are doing multiple cropping in the same region. In a year, that is, in 1 year, they are normally growing 3 crops. So they are doing it, means growing at least 2 main crops, and along with this, the third crop, normally they tend to grow potatoes. So these are the 3 crops. So that is why they are doing multiple farming. So what are the different crops they have? Wheat, bajra, sugarcane, and these, along with this, we have potato as normally as the third crop. So this multiple cropping means method of multiple cropping is used in Palampur. Cultivation of different types of crops in the same piece of land. So the area is fixed and different crops are being grown at different times. This is known as multiple cropping. For example, jawar and bajra during the rainy season. Potato is produced in between, that is October and December, and then wheat is produced in the winter session. So again, let me tell you, jawar and bajra, these are in rainy season. Potato in between October and December, and wheat during winter season. So this is how multiple cropping has increased the production. Along with this, Palampur people, they are using modern farming, modern way of farming. So in this type of farming, they use HYV, high yielding variety seeds. Previously, they were using the normal seeds, and that normal seeds wouldn't require that much of water. It wouldn't require that much of fertilizer, because they will use just cow dung cakes, cow dung which is available. They don't have to buy it. But now, because of modern farming practices, they are using HYV, high yielding variety seeds, and that is why they are able to grow in the same piece of land more amount of food grains. In India, farmers from Punjab, Haryana and Western Uttar Pradesh, they were the first to try this modern farming. Then came the Green Revolution. Now this is very important. Green Revolution, this word has been, it has been used here to let you know that this Green Revolution has come up with all these things. That is, the Green Revolution facilitated the cultivation of wheat and rice using HYV instead of the traditional seeds. This HYV, they are capable of producing more amount of grain in the plant. More amount of grain can be produced, right? So this HYV is very important. Now, when this HYV is being used, as I said, the previously used or a traditional method, they don't require that much of water, not that much of fertilizers. But HYV really require lot of water. First of all, lot of water, then chemical fertilizers, then pesticides. All of things are required. That is, plenty of water, chemical fertilizers, and then if you see, pesticides is also required. That means, if Palampur people are going for the modern farming, it includes HYV seeds, a lot of irrigation is required, chemical fertilizers is required, and pesticides. So these all are required, right? Let me just give you a hint of picture which shows that all of these what we discussed. See, modern farming means we need to have HYV seeds. We need to have, farm machinery, that is diesel and petrol will be used here. Then the irrigation will be done by the canals, pump sets and electricity and required, and dam is giving you electricity. Then pesticides have to be used and fertilizers have to be used. So this will be done in modern farming, which is being done here. Okay. Now, what has happened? The thing which has happened, that previously by traditional method, 1300 kilogram of the wheat being produced in Palampur now per hectare. Now this has increased to almost 3 times, 3200 kilogram of wheat per hectare. Okay, so this is the faida, this is the advantage of modern farming, that the same land is producing now higher number or higher value of the wheat or the crop. So will the land sustain? Now the question arises is, now the land will sustain. It has been seen, there are various studies, scientific reports, and these scientific reports have suggested that because we are using the modern type of farming, this land has lost or it is losing because we are using chemical fertilizers. We are using a lot of water. So first of all, the fertilizers, because of fertilizers, the fertility of the land is going down. And when we are using the agriculture, for that we need water. In this case, we are taking the water from tube well, and when you have tube well, it goes inside the land side and it takes the water from the water table. So because of the tube well irrigation, the water table has gone down. Okay, so there is environmental problems here. That is, the fertility has gone, groundwater is going down and down, and then because we need to restore this fertility, this is also a problem. So we need to have a sustainability. So according to scientific report, the modern farming natural resources we are using overusing we are. Groundwaters, rivers and lakes, they are polluted by the way we are using chemical fertilizers. Groundwater is going down, and chemical fertilizers which we use in modern farming for killing bacteria and other microorganisms in the soil, now these are also creating trouble. So hope you got the idea that we need to have sustainability of land. We can't just have the modern farming like this. Now, how is land distributed between the farmers of Palampur? If you see this picture, there are big lands and there are very small lands. That is, if we take the numbers, we have 450 families. About one third of the 450 families, that is around 150 families, they are landless. They are landless. They don't have their own land. Okay, this 150 almost these are Dalits, so they have no land for cultivation. And as we see, most of the people, they are engaged in agriculture only. Now, of remaining these things, 450, 150 don't have land. Then 240 families, they have greater than, less than or around 2 hectares. That is less than 2 hectares size of land. and cultivation of such plots, they doesn't bring adequate income to the farmer family, so they are just doing it. Okay. Now, when it comes to other farmers, there are farmers which are having more than 2 hectares. Some of them, they are having more than 10 hectares also, and these are just 60 families. So 60 families are there which are having these bigs. These 240 are having these one, and 150 are having none. So this you have to understand, that in most of the Indian region and villages, this kind of situation is there. Coming to the labor, because we require labor, whether it is agriculture, farming, or any industry. Here in Palampur, some farmers, they work on their own land, but some of them work on another land. For that, they receive wage. They may receive daily wages, or they may be, you can say, hired for a season. So wages can be cash, it may be money, or it can be kind also. Kind means giving wheat or something. Wages vary from region to region, also from crop to crop, and also from one farming activity to another in Palampur. So here you see in picture, in Palampur, there is a work going on in the field. So wheat crop, there is plowing going on by bullocks, and sowing is going on, sowing, spraying of, this is spraying, this is sowing, spraying of insecticide, and this is the cultivation by the traditional methods, previous trivial methods, and this is the modern way of the cultivation, that is finally the cutting off or harvesting of the crop. Then let me tell you about the distribution of cultivated area and farmers, and this is not about Palampur, this is about Indian region. So this agriculture statistics at glance 2006, because it has changed by now, we are way ahead from 2006, but you'll get an idea. The idea is that this is the cultivated land, and small farmers, 36% of small farmers have this one. And if you see here, 80% of the farmers, number of farmers, they are here medium. Small farmers are here. 80% of, like in 100, 80 people are, that is number of farmers, in 100, 80 are small farmers. That is, they have less than 2 hectares. When you talk about cultivated land, then most of the land, around 64%, belongs to medium and large farmers, and only 20% farmers belong to this medium and large farmers. So the farmers, there are 2 categories we discussed, that is the rich farmer, they have more land and they work less, means they don't work in there, they just hire people. And those farmers which are small farmers, they may work on their land, they don't hire normally. So here there is a conversation between 2 Palampur residents, that it is, this guy is saying it is difficult to find work, and the large farmer will hire us, and that too for only that limited number of days when the sowing and cropping, harvesting is going on. Now the woman is saying, Ghanshyam, the large farmer has bought a harvester, so he is hopeful that she is going to get some work. But now because the harvester is there, she'll get less work, right? Last year, she just worked for less than 5 months in whole year. Now the guy is saying that we have tractors for plowing, harvester and harvesting, threshers for threshing, and even for removing weeds, some farmers spray weedicide. So all of the things are, been done by machines. And he is saying that I owe local money lender Sahukar 2,000 rupees. I have taken 1,000 last summer when there was no work. So how I'm going to repay, because we don't have work now. So the woman is saying this year I will have to look for work in brick making, and I have to go to Raiganj, because her situation is not that good also. Due to the debt she has taken from money lenders, now money lenders don't pay her, they refuse to pay her. So this is the scenario of the people which is happening when the equipments are coming and these laborers are not getting work. So let me tell you about the wages first. See, the Dala, there is a name called Dala. He is, or you can say she is, because it is not being said whether she is or he is. Now, Dala is a landless labor, farm labor, and who works on daily wages in Palampur. And Dala has to look regularly for the work. The minimum wages for a farm labor in year 2011 April, it is being fixed by government as 115 rupees. That anyone who is going to work for whole day, that is 8 hours, he or she has to be paid 115 rupees. But Dala is getting only 80 rupees. Why Dala is getting only 80 rupees? Because of the competition. See, these two both are there to work. They won't work. So when there are so many people to work, they may not work for 115. The person who is hiring them, the person will say, okay, I'll give you say 90 bucks or 80 bucks or 70 bucks even. People are ready to work for this because of the increased competition between the laborers, right? So this is the situation there. In the farming, these various things we talked about, land, labor, etc. Now the capital. Now capital is required. How do we get the capital? So huge capital is required in the method of modern farming, as we saw. Small farmers, they have lack of capital. They don't have capital. They borrow money from large farmers either, or they take the money from the money lenders. But the rates are quite high. It's exorbitant. There are three types of capital which are mostly used in any organization. As we just saw, working capital, fixed capital, and human capital. So as we saw, most small farmers, they have to borrow money, because whenever they want to cultivate something, they have to have some inputs. For that inputs, they have to take loans, and these loans, if they take from money lenders, they charge a high amount of interest. But the medium and large farmers, they might have some savings, so they don't take money from these money lenders, etc. I'll tell you a story. The story is about Savita. Savita is a small farmer. Now she has just 1 hectare of land, that is only 100 meter by 100 meter. And for this, she wants to grow wheat. She would need fertilizer, she would need pesticide, she will need some cash to buy water and repair her instruments. Instruments also required. Minimum she would require 3,000 rupees, but she doesn't have money. She would buy it or take it from Tejpal Singh. Now Tejpal Singh is a large farmer, and Tejpal says, okay, I'll give you the money, but I'll take 24% for 4 months. So if she would have taken 100 rupees from Tejpal, she would have to give him back 124 rupees in 4 months, and this is a very exorbitant, very high amount. Apart from this, Savita gave the promise, Tejpal took the promise that she has to work in Tejpal's land as a farmer or farm labor for 35 rupees. This is 35 rupees per day. The minimum wage in 2011 fixed as 115, and she has to work for 35 rupees. But because of all the situation she is facing, she has to work here. She has to work here. So you can see because she is the mother of 3 children. She has the household responsibilities also. Because of these tough conditions, she has to work here, and she has to take the loan also. Now, selling of, or you can say sale of farm products. So whenever there is a land and something is produced, say some 100, just I'm taking a unit, 100 amount is produced. So farmers generally, they take some amount that will feed their children and for them for a whole year, and then rest of them they would sell. So selling of farm products, the surplus products, as I just said, 80 is the surplus products. These are sold to medium and large farmers by the small farmers. So small farmers, they sell it to the large farmers, and now the medium and large farmers, they also have a lot of surpluses. The small farmers, they don't produce that much. So I'll just don't discuss this. Why? Because the small farmers, they will not have that much that they can even have surplus food. They will have enough food to survive, that is only for their consumption. So they will just have the amount, that is the Savita we talked about. She'll have just limited amount so that she can consume and her kids can consume, or people in her house. But even if they have surplus products, they will have to give it to the medium and large farmers, and these medium and large farmers, they will have enough amount of surplus and they will supply it, their stuff also, to the market. And now the traders, that is the Vyapari, they will buy the product from these medium and large farmers, because the medium and large farmers, they are only providing, or you can say supplying, the actual content, actual grain, actual wheat to the market. The traders will take this product and now they will sell it to the market and the shopkeepers in the towns and cities. If you take example of Tejpal Singh, just an example, he is having 350 quintals of wheat as surplus. Now this is a very, very good amount. So he will be making, Tejpal Singh will be making a lot of money, and the extra money he has, he will use it for working capital as because he has saving, and for buying a tractor in the next season. Buying a tractor, Tejpal Singh I am talking about. So this Tejpal Singh, he is a large, or you can say he is a medium farmer, and he has surplus product. Now he can sell it to the traders. Traders will sell it to the market. And some farmers, what they will do, they may buy cattle, truck, or they may even have shops. They can even establish a shop. Now coming to the non-farm activities in Palampur, as we have seen that 75% of the population, that is 175 persons, are involved in farming and agriculture activities. So 25 people, or you can say 25 in 100, or 25% of people, they are working in sector or activities which are other than agriculture. So the first one is dairy. Dairy is a major source of earning money in Palampur, and dairy is a type of business where harvesting or processing of animal milk are done mostly from cows and buffaloes. So this is what is done in Palampur. And the traders, if you talk about Palampur, the grass and jawar, bajra is being grown in the rainy season for these cattle, and the milk will be sold in the Raiganj. And there are certain farmers, or say there are certain traders who have set up the collection centers of milk and also the chilling center, cold center. They take the milk and now they will transport it to different towns and cities. There is small scale manufacturing in Palampur also, but it is not that much. So in Palampur, small scale manufacturing is done, not that much. Basically the work is carried out in home only, or say fields, with the help of family labor only. They will not hire labor from outside. So they will hire the labor rarely. They will work themselves. So this is the small scale scenario in Palampur. Coming to the shopkeeping or shopkeepers of Palampur. Shopkeeping is also a source of earning here in Palampur. So shopkeepers earn money by selling wide range of items like rice, wheat, sugar, tea, oil, biscuits, soap, toothpaste, batteries, candles, notebooks, pen, pencil, and even cloth. So here shopkeeper is an individual who runs the shop. Means individual only runs the shop. And then comes the transporting. Transporting, as we know that this is the third sector or tertiary sector activity. So it's a fast developing sector. And when we talk about the Palampur area, people and goods are ferried, means they are taken from one place to another. People also and goods also. They are ferried from one place to another through transporting service. For this service, the worker gets paid. In Palampur, road is the mode of transportation. So Kishore is a farm labor. There is a story being given. Kishore is a farm labor. Now, apart from the work he needs some money extra. And few years back, he took a loan from bank. So now, when he took loan from bank, the interest will be less. Okay, because the government is providing, because of a program, government program, he got a cheap loan. because he was a poor landless household labor actually. Now he bought a buffalo with his money. Now he sells the buffalo milk. This is how dairy work is done, and he is transporting also. So he is transporting also, and that is how he is getting money. So this is the work which are going on in Palampur. So what we saw in Palampur, or any, you can relate this with any region or any area of the country. Farming is the main production activity in Palampur, and there are different changes which has happened. The same amount of land, the modern farming techniques, and also the multiple cropping. There are new ways of farming, which includes the HYV weeds and pesticides and fertilizers. That is why the traditional way has changed. Now they are growing in the same area more number of grains and crops. Okay, and there are around 450 families. 1/3 is Dalit, that is not privileged type of people, and others also there is a distinction 250 and 60, and some have bigger land, some have less land, and this 150 people, they don't, or 150 you can say, the families, they don't have land even, right? And 75% of people, they are involved in agricultural activities. 25% are involved in the non-agricultural activities, and this non-agricultural activities, it includes the dairy, the shopkeeping, and transporting, small-scale manufacturing, etc. Because Palampur is well developed in terms of electricity, in terms of irrigation, etc. So the situation is quite good here. But if we see about the other villages in India, there still needs to be work needs to be done for them to be at par with Palampur.